rest untouched on chair. Bag stays closed beside table. Phone screen remains dark now. Coal eyes folded along seat. Low light lingers near corners. Window reflection dims slowly today. Doors stay shut without sound. Clock face shows late hour. Minutes pause before movement begins. Room holds one last stillness. A final pause here. Belongings stay where placed. Light remains low inside. Time waits without push. Table surface clears emotion. Cups sit finished and cooled. Receipt lies flat near edge. Chair legs angle inward slightly. Outside sounds thin through glass. Street light flickers then steadies. Air cools along the floor. Ceiling fan slows another step. Nothing reaches for attention now. Hands remain away from items. Shadows settle closer together here. Light holds near closing time. A final pause here. Belongings still untouched now. Chairs remain set back. Light stays low here. Without push. We follow without push. Chairs slide back into place. Table edges line up evenly. Floor clears after soft movement. Room holds a wider space. Daylight lowers along the wall. Window glare fades little by little. Shadows stretch near chair legs. Air cools without sudden change. Minutes pass without clear marker. Clock sound blends into room. Time passing quietly here. Chairs rest back in place. Light keeps easing down. Nothing calls for movement. Table corners meet familiar lines. Cups sit spaced the same way. Napkins fold back toward center. Wood grain runs clear beneath. Footsteps fade beyond the door. Street sound softens outside glass. Ceiling fan turns at low pace. Table light remains even now. Chairs stay set where placed. Daylight settles closer to dusk. Room returns to simple order. Time moves without notice here. Time passing quietly here. Chairs rest back in place. The light eases lower now. Air stays soft and open. Room keeps steady balance. Afternoon continues without pause.
I rest beside the chair. Zipper stays half open now. Metal teeth catch nothing there. Strap lies across the floor. settles on space. Table edge meets quiet shadow. Chair back faces the window. Floor keeps a steady tone. The room keeps breathing slow. Sound remains evenly spread here. A bag zipper half open. Metal teeth catching nothing. Soft light settling on space. Room keeps breathing slow. Hand moves once then returns. Bag stays where it rests. Zipper pull reflects daylight softly. Air passes without contact here. Clock ticks behind the counter once. Cup waits near table edge. Napkin stays folded beside. Play window shows passing figures outside. Zipper line remains uneven. Still bag opening holds its shape. Light does not shift position. Space stays open between things. A bag zipper half open. Metal teeth catching nothing. Soft light settling on space. Room keeps breathing slow. Beside the chair, nothing else to move.
Soft laugh lips, then drops. Cups, red ones, then rest. Warm glow holds faces near. Table keeps its calm shape. Smiles stay after sound fades. Hands pause above warm mugs. Chairs lean in a little. Room returns to low tone. Air settles back between cups. Light holds the moment still. Nothing needs to rush now. Laughter fades into stays close. Cups rest side by side. Breath evens after a quick laugh. Clock ticks without demand now. Window shows late street blur. Server passes with soft step. Pages lie half open here. Phone rests face down near. Talk returns then pauses again. No one checks the time. Warm glow keeps its place. Table marks shared hours here. Outside noise drops away now. Room holds quiet again here. Nothing needs to rush now. Laughter shared then fading. Warm glow holds a moment. Cups rest side by side. Smiles linger without sound. Night stays outside here. Pen rests above the paging tip. Points toward margin. Paper stays flat and open. Table holds scattered notes still. Soft daylight fills the corner. Window frame catches pale light. Chair stays tucked under table floor shows faint shoe marks. Seconds pause without movement here. Room remains evenly quiet inside. Pen hand waiting above page. Lines remain unmarked still. Hands hover without contact. Time does not press. Margin leaves open, white space, pen shadow rests beside text. Notebook spine bent slightly inward, page edges stay aligned neatly. Clock hand moves one step, street sound fades behind glass. Air shifts near the window, breath stays slow and even. Pen lifts slightly, then waits. Ink remains unused for now. Light holds steady on paper. Nothing moves toward writing yet. Pen waiting above page. Page stays open here. Lines keep their space. Hands remain still nearby. Time moves at pace. Stay away. Fails the corner. Hands pause near saucer edge. Fingers curl without small movement. Cup sits centered on plate. Table surface shows faint marks. Light moves softly across floor. Shadow shifts beside chair legs. Window stays partly opened here. Air holds a steady line. Time pauses before next action. Nothing signals a sudden change. Hands rest before lifting. Fingers stay near saucer. Light crosses open floor. Moments wait without cue. Spoon aligns a long plate. Rim liquid settles inside the cup. Napkin folds at the corner. Chair remains pulled halfway in. Footsteps fade beyond doorway. Now clock face shows even spacing. Ceiling hum stays low overhead. Eyes follow nothing moving here. Hands remain resting without lift. Breast stays level edges. Sound drifts from distant tables. Stillness holds before motion returns. Hands rest before lifting. Fingers remain near saucer. Light moves across floor. Time stays briefly paused. Nothing asks for movement. We stop without reason.
Shoulders settle back slowly now. Chair supports quiet posture here. Hands rest upon the table. Light stays even across floor. Window glass holds steady brightness. cup warmth meets both palms. Spoon lies beside empty saucer. Breath moves without any rush. Clock ticks once behind the counter. Room keeps an open pause. A breath taken lightly, shoulders resting back again. Light remaining calm here. No need to arrive yet. Sunline rests along the wall. Chair legs stand without motion. Table edge meets folded napkin. Air passes between nearby seats. Pages wait inside closed notebook. Footsteps fade beyond the door. Ceiling fan turns very slowly. Time stays unmarked for now. Shoulders remain settled back there. Seat holds weight evenly down. Light keeps its calm place. Breath passes and stays quiet. A breath taken lightly, shoulders resting back again. Light remaining calm here. No need to arrive yet. Chair waits beneath daylight. Moment stays open now.
Notebook lies open at corner. Pen rests above blank page. Table surface holds soft light. Chair stays close to table. Daylight drifts across the room. Window frame catches moving dust. Cup sits near folded napkin. Clock marks a quiet second. Hand pauses above the page. Ink waits without forming words. A pause before writing. Page stays open here. Light rests on paper. Room goes calm now. Edges of paper remain clean. Lines wait without clear direction. Fingers hold the pen loosely. Breath moves steady and slow. Outside sounds fade behind glass. Curtain edgeless then falls. Sunlight rests along margin. Nothing touches the page yet. Time sits between empty lines. Letters stay unformed and still. Room tone stays even here. Light keeps its quiet place. A pause before writing. rests without motion. Light holds the paper, the room goes calm. Words wait just off screen. Book rests closed on table, cover catches soft daylight there. Pages press lightly together now. Hands stay near the spine. Bookmark peeks from the edge. Table grain runs side to side. Cup warms the waiting air. Chair legs rest without movement. Nothing opens just yet here. Pages keep their place still. Pages waiting to be read. Book stays closed for now. Light rests along cover. Time moves without change. Sun shifts across the table. Shadows stay close to edges. Window shows passing shapes outside. Street sound fades behind glass. Spine lines hold their curve. Paper smells faint and clean. Thumb rests near the corner. Pages wait without turning yet. Bass moves under gentle piano. Guitar notes leave small gaps. Sound stay low in room. Air holds space between tones. Pages waiting to be read. Book stays closed for now. Light rests along cover. Hands remain near pages. Time keeps steady pace. We move as we are.
Mug rests beside the pages. Steam lifts and thins slowly. Notebook lies open on table. Handle turns toward the margin. Light settles across the table. Paper edges stay aligned here. Pen rests near the spine. Shadow falls behind the cup. Hands pause above the notebook. Nothing moves between the lines. A cup left near. Pages stay open still. Steam fades without sound. We leave no trace. Bass note sits under piano. Chair legs press the floor. Window shows passing coats outside. Cup ring marks the wood. Spoon rests unused beside mug. Ink stays sealed inside pen. Light shifts slightly across grain. Clock ticks once then stops. Steam thins to a line. Notebook waits without new marks. Hand lifts then settles again. Room keeps the surface clear. A cup left near. the table, hands stay off the page. We leave no trace.
Notebook slides to the side, pages stack in quiet order. Pen rests near the margin. Table surface stays mostly clear. Light falls across the paper. Coffee ring marks one corner. Chair remains tucked inward still. Window shows slow passing cars. Hands move without much thought. Pause fits between small actions. A notebook shifted aside. Pages stacked neatly now. Time keeps moving forward. We let it keep going. Cover closes with soft contact. Spine aligns beside the cup. Steam rises then disappears slowly. Saucer waits beneath the mug. Daylight holds a gentle tone. Clock ticks once then again. Flow reflects passing shoes briefly. Music volume stays unchanged here. Notebook rests beyond the hands. Thoughts pause near blank pages. Edges line up with care. Light remains nearby and steady. A notebook shifted aside. Pages stack neatly now. Nothing waits to finish. Daylight stays close by. We let it keep going. Hands rest back down. Order placed without any hurry. Spoon rests beside the saucer. Server waits near the counter. Light moves across the menu. Chair legs touch the floor. Notebook stays closed nearby still. Window shows people passing by. Clock hands move evenly now. I stay on the table. Nothing signals a quick rush. An order placed slowly. Spoon waits by saucer. Light catches small motion. We do not step away. Cups line the warming shelf edge. Bass notes sit underneath steps. Apron brushes past the door. Paper receipt lies flat nearby. Outside traffic flows, steady past sunlight touches the moving hands. Spoon handle points inward now. Table keeps its quiet shape. Order number waits uncalled yet. Server writes another short line. Steam rises and settles down again. Room holds the same steady pace. An order placed slowly. Spoon waits by saucer. Light catches small motion. We do not step away. Time stays with the order. Nothing moves us forward.
Mug lands softly on table. Handle turns toward the light. Steam rises, then settles down. Surface shows a pale ring. Afternoon light holds steady here. Spoon rests beside the cup. Counter keeps its quiet tone. Nothing shifts around the space. Hands pause before any thought. Motion stops without a cue. Cup waits where placed. Time moves on quietly. Nothing breaks the flow. We do not interrupt. Table edge meets the wrist. Ceramic warmth stays contained inside. Eyes follow drifting steam lines. Chair legs rest on tiles. Reflects a clear street. Footsteps pass beyond the glass. Door stays closed without sound. Light remains across the wood. Thought arrives a moment later. Breath keeps an even pace. Cup stands where it landed. Time continues without comment here. Cup waits on the table. Time moves without pause. Flow stays unbroken here. Hands remain at rest. Nothing interrupts this moment. The cup stays set. Cup waits her place.
Chair shifts closer to table. Wood grain catches clear light. Bag rests against chair leg. Floor reflects a pale tone. Cup slides inward on surface. Spoon points toward the rim. Window frame stays in view. Street sound lowers outside glass. Chair legs settle evenly now. Space narrows around this table. This moment stays suspended. Light touches wooden edge. Nothing pulls us forward. Time pauses right here. Close beside cup, pen lies straight near margin. Counter hum fades into quiet. Clock hand moves one step. Curtain edge lifts then falls. Air cools along the glass. Light stays on tabletop grain. Shadows hold their position still. Chair stops moving any closer. Cup warmth remains in hand. Room sound drops another level. Clear light touches wood again. This moment stays suspended. Light touches wooden edge. Nothing pulls us forward. Time pauses right here. Chair stays close to table. Visit opens slowly now. Table Tabletop stays clean and clear. Glass surface catches passing shapes. Light spreads evenly across wood. No items rest near edges. Reflection shifts with small movement. Cup shadow falls beside nothing. Table grain runs straight and quiet. Corners meet without any marks. Surface holds only light now. Air leaves no trace behind. A clean tabletop remains. Glass keeps simple reflections. Even light stays present. The calm seals it. Fingerprints do not appear here. Cloth edge rests off the side. Window shapes move across glass. Table stays open and clear. Light remains steady without change. Glass shows lines from outside. Nothing waits to be placed. Surface stays ready and bare. Without leaving marks, reflections fade, then return slowly. Edges stay clear and defined. Tabletop holds its clean state. A clean tabletop remains. Glass keeps simple reflections. Even light stays present. The calm upon it. Surface stays open still.
Door stays closed behind us. Chairs remain where they were. Table holds yesterday crumbs still. Cup sits near window edge. Light keeps the same distance. Curtain barely moves at all. Air rests between table legs. Floor shows lines from shoes. Clock returns to quiet. Tick street noise lowers outside slowly. This goes on softly. Room stays as it was. Light keeps steady balance. Time moves without change. Window shows familiar reflections inside. Glass carries muted street shapes. Door frame keeps its quiet marks. Bell hangs still above entry. Steam lifts then settles again. Spoon returns beside the cup. Hands rest flat on knees. Chair legs press into floor. Nothing shifts within the room. Light stays even across surfaces. Moments line up quietly here. Pause settles back into place. This goes on softly. Room stays as it was. Light keeps steady balance. Time moves without change. Cups remain where they rest. Nothing asks to shift.
Plates move toward table edge. Bowls slide closer together. Napkins fold beside cups. Amber light grows Dishes clear, small space, hands guide porcelain slow. Mugs hold a steady heat, table opens in middle. Room grows quiet again, air stays warm and near. Let it end in peace, plates move aside. Amber light widens, table holds space. Server passes without sound, Bill waits near corner. Clock glow fades nearby, window shows dim road. Chairs draw a bit closer, cups rest within reach. Talk runs slow and even, no one stands yet. Empty space stays open, light rests on wood. Hands pause above table, time slows without cue. Let it end in peace, plates move aside. Amber light widens, table holds space. Cups stay within reach. Room stays calm. Coat rest on chair, fabric layers without clear order. Dim light brushes rough textures, table edge holds quiet marks. Sleeves hang over wooden back, zippers catch a little glow. Chairs stay close to table, mugs wait near warm rings. Room air moves calm and low. Light stays near our place. The room keeps breathing slow. Coats share one chair. Dim light stays near. Table keeps us here. Keeps food and soul. Cups cool beside folded coats. Steam lifts then fades back. Clock faced into the window shows late street blur. Hands rest near cup rims. Talk runs slow and even. No one checks the time. Floor light keeps steady glow. Fabric shifts with small moves. Chair holds added weight now. Light brushes seams and cuts. Room stays calm and full. The room keeps breathing slow. Three coats on one chair. Dim light stays low. Crime soul is all. Room keeps breathing slow. Three coats on one chair. Dim light stays near. Cups wait without lift. Table keeps us here. Evening moves on, so 2 cups send up steam. Warm air meets center space. Amber light tracks small moves. Table holds a quiet shape. Hands rest near cup rims. Napkins sit without any fold. Chairs stay pulled in close. Nothing moves from its place. Steam then fades slow. Sound drops across the room. The room goes still. Steam meets at center. Amber light stays near. Cups face one another. Mugs show fresh ring marks now. Clock face dims nearby now. Window shows less street now. Server moves past quite softly. Pages lie half open here. Phone rests face down now. Talk runs low and even air holds steady warmth here. Steam crosses above the wood. Light catches small motion now. Table keeps a shared middle. Nothing calls for change now. The room goes still. Steam meets at center. Amber light stays near. Cups face one another. Hands pause above mugs. Time waits without pull. Two cups end up steam. Warm air meets center space. Amber light tracks small moves. Table holds a quiet shape. Hands rest near cup rims. Napkins sit without any fold. Chairs stay pulled in close. No one shifts position now. Steam drifts then fades slow. Sound drops across the room. The room goes still. Steam meets at center. Amber light stays near. Cups face one another. Mugs show fresh ring marks now. Clock face dims nearby now. Window shows less street now. Server moves past quite softly. Pages lie half open here. Phone rests face down now. Talk runs low and even. Air holds steady warmth here. Steam crosses above the wood. Light catches small motion now. Table keeps a shared middle. Nothing calls for change now. The room goes still. Steam meets its center. Amber light stays near. Cups face one another. Hands pause above mugs. Time waits without pull.
Two mugs return already warm and set them down gently. Table holds familiar marks. Evening glow fills room. Steam lifts then settles quick. Napkins rest near plates. Chairs stay drawn close now. No one looks around. Voices keep low
turns into room. The noise can fade away, makes it full again. Warm glow stays near, table keeps us. Server walks past softly, bill stays folded back. Clock light dims slowly, window shows less street. Pages stay half read, phone rests face down. Talk moves then pauses, nothing pulls us. Another cup meets hand, heat moves through clay. Room keeps even tone, time goes unnoticed. The noise can fade away, marks it full again. Warm glow stays near, table keeps us. No one stands yet, evening holds. No one stands through, evening holds. Two cups rest near center, wood grain shows worn lines. Menus close without sound, warm light stays near. Voices drop a little more, room keeps gentle noise. Chairs draw closer in place, table mark shared space. Words slow down mid-air, sound blends into room. Light slips across table, voices lower together. Warm light stays close, cups remain between. Hands pause above mugs, steam fades from surface. Clock face dims nearby, window holds evening. Pages lie left open, phone stays dark beside. Talk comes soft and still, no one stands yet. Server walks past again, bill waits folded near. Nothing calls for change, time moves without cue. Light slips across table, voices lower together. Warm light stays close, cups remain between. Room keeps steady tone, night stays outside. One table kept near wall, two mugs cool without lift. Coat lies on chair back, low light holds place. Menu lies opened flat, time waits without push. No sign of leaving yet, room keeps even tone. Ooh. between cups. We hold the same hush, mugs remain side by side. Low light holds us, table clean for hours. Plates cool near rim, phone face down dark. Clock ticks off nearby. Window frame, street blur. Hands lie near cups. Chairs face same way. Talk comes then fades brief. No hurry enters room. Bill eyes folded aside. Server moves without word. Light dims a little more. Hours had with ease. We hold the same hush. Mugs remain side by side. Low light holds us. Table clean for hush. No sign of leaving. Time keeps level here. Two cups in near edge. A chair pulled a little back. Warm light lays on wood. Room holds a quiet space. Eyes meet then drift away. Hands stay near table edge. Plates cool remain untouched. Near low sound fades between cups. Amber light keeps steady here. Time sits calm at table. Time moves in gentle lines. Looks move over table. Warm light holds our place. Quiet sits between us. Cups turn slow, cooling air. A spoon waits near in line. Pages lie beside plates here. Window frame, street in blur. Light keeps shape on faces. Breath sits even and low. Chairs face one direction now. Talk comes then pauses briefly. Clock moves soft without push. Outside cars roll on by. Table marks a common middle. Nothing asks for more now. Time moves in gentle lines. Looks move over table. Warm light holds our place. Cups remain side by side. Quiet sits between us. Evening lingers a while here. Our spoons rest beside warm cups. Circles fade within mugs gently. Hands lower back to table. Motion calms near edges now. Golden light calms the surface. Cups sit without small rings. Napkins wait near plates here. Room tone grows even low. Movement eases across the table. No one reaches for motion. We listen to the still. Spoons lie by cups. Light calms the table. Time moves without rush. Steam fades above dark mugs. Saucers hold the spoons nearby. Sugar bowl sits between palms. Chairs keep their places here. Windows frame the evening glow. Door remains closed behind us. Floor hum keeps even pace. Talk falls into quiet gaps. A server walks by without words. Ceramic meets the wood ones. Bills wait off the table. Light holds the room calm. We listen to the still. Spoons lie beside cups. Golden light calm surface. Hands remain near mugs. No motion asks more. We sit a while. More chairs pulling close. Table edge meets new elbows. Coats land across chair backs. Backslide under table legs. Evening light draws inward slowly. Cups gather near the middle. Plates shift to make room. Foot traffic fades nearby here. Space tightens without strain now. Chairs edge closer together now. This calm is staying. Chairs draw closer now. Light moves towards center. Time rests right here. More seats fill around us. Hands find open places nearby. Menace close near cups now. Low talk spreads along tables. Door closes, then rests shut. Windows hold evening glow inside. Coat share one chair nearby. Floor hum keeps even pace. Server brings another chair over. Wood meets feet softly now. Cups slide to new edges. Light remains warm nearby here. This calm is staying. More chairs pulled in. Light draws inward now. Table feels easy full. No one rises yet. We remain right here. Cups rest after last sound. Hands pause above warm mugs. Chairs hold closed positions now. Table waits without any motion. Warm glow remains gentle here. Light spreads along the wood. Plates sit near the edge. Air stays open between us. Talk falls into shared quiet. No gap feels empty now. We let the calm unfold. Cups day side by side. Light holds the table. Time moves without notice. Steam thins above dark mugs. Saucers stack near table corners. Menace lie close nearby now. Windows frame the evening glow. Coats rest across chair backs. Doors stay shut behind us. Floor hum keeps even pace. Footsteps past and fade out. Server moves by with refills. Ceramic meets the woodwork. One napkin stay folded neat nearby. Room keeps gentle order here. We let the calm unfold. Silence shared, not empty here. Light remains warm and gentle. Cups rest close together now. Hands stay near warm mugs. We sit and let stay. Books rest across a table. Pages stay open without hands. Cups sit near the corners. Pens lie beside folded notes. Chairs stand close without sound. Sleeves brushed and fall still. Lamplight stays warm above. Shelves hold rows of covers. Voices fade into soft space. Minutes pass without signal. Nothing pulls us forward. Time stays right here. Hands rest near books. Light holds the table. Smiles linger after the sound. Cups cool beside the pages. Pages turn at their pace. Clock ticks behind our talk. Window shows late afternoon light. Street noise fades into distance. Spoons rest on empty plates. Notes stay where written earlier. Air moves slowly between pages. Breath settles near the table. Marks stay pressed into wood. Glances meet then drift away. Nothing pulls us forward. Nothing asks for motion. Books stay where opened. Cups cool without notice. Light holds the table. Time stays with us. Warm air gathers at center. Hands rest near shared cups. Steam lifts then fades upward. Table holds a quiet space. Amber light catches small movements. Sleeves brush while chairs adjust. Plates stay warm from touch. Breath meets softly between us. Sounds lower without filling gaps. Room keeps space open still. We don't fill it. City glow stays thin. Warm air meets center. Light holds our motion. Window shows clouds drifting slowly. Street hum softens outside walls. Cups return to table edge. Heat lingers near our hands. Night signs dim across glass. Reflections move with passing cars. Coats hang close on backs. Floor keeps us stays warm at center. Lights remain deep amber here. Nothing presses into the space. We don't fill it. City glow stays thin. Warm air meets center light, holds our motion. Space stays open here. Sounds fade without weight. Cups sit untouched on table. Phones stay face down nearby. Chairs remain pulled in close. Light lingers without any hurry. Plates rest stacked between hands. Steam fades above warm cups. Window shows a darker street. Curtains hang still at sides. No one checks the time. Clock stays quiet on wall. We stay inside, flow. Late hour moves slowly. Nothing asks for change. Light keeps us seated. Cups refill without comment now. Water pours and stops cleanly. Plates return to table edge. Hands move slow across wood. Street noise softens outside glass. Lights dim across nearby signs. Coats stay draped on backs. Floor holds steady warmth below. Silence sits between small sounds. Air stays warm around table. Time passes without notice here. Nothing presses the moment forward. We stay inside, flow. Late hour moves slowly. Hands remain near cups. Light lingers without hurry. No one checks time. Room stays with us.
Mugs return already warm here. Steam thins above the table. Ceramic rims touch briefly together. Hands rest near the cups. Light settles along tiled floor. Evening glow thickens slowly inside. Saucers line the narrow edge. Chairs remain pulled close together. Room holds a steady quiet. Time moves without remark here. Steam fades into tiles. Cups share retained warmth. Table stays softly occupied. Evening holds our space. Bass hum sits under piano. Wooden floor keeps dull shine. Windows show blurred traffic outside. Coats hang behind our chairs. Spoons rest without stirring now. Napkins fold beside plates here. Clock marks a patient beat. Conversation stays low. Volume here. Last steam lifts, then disappears. Tiles cool beneath the cups. Light thins near closing time. We finish without sound together. Steam gone from the tiles. Warmth stays in cups. Table keeps quiet order. Evening settles between us. Hands remain near cups.
Quiet breath along the ceiling. Fans turn with steady sound. Plates rest near table edges. Voices blend without direction here. Warm light stays close overhead. Walls hold the evening tone. Cups align beside the sink. Water runs then settles back. Room keeps an even pace. Nothing pulls the moment forward. Sounds blend into comfort. Breath moves above us. Light stays where it is. Time walks softly here. Bass rests under quiet chords. Fingers pause between each note. Floor reflects a muted shine. Windows hold the street blur. Spoons lie beside small plates. Napkins fold along the edge. Clock ticks without demand here. Chairs remain turned inward slightly. Hair moves near the ceiling line. Heat lingers from shared cups. Sound fades into low balance. Nothing asks for more time. Sounds blend into comfort. Breath stays close above. Light remains nearby still. Time keeps gentle steps. Tables hold their warmth. The moment walks softly.
Understated moonlight over the carpet. Low light settles in place. Shoes rest near the door. Coats remain on shared hooks. Chairs face the table edge. Cups sit without cooling yet. Saucers align beside plates. White, no sign of leaving yet. Clock marks a patient minute. Room keeps its steady level. Sits under quiet chords. Hands rest near warm cups. Carpet holds muted footsteps softly. Table keeps its clear space. Window shows a darker street. Curtains hang without movement now. Glasses dry along the rack. Light pools near the floor.
Just cross the carpet, shadows stay close 2 feet. Time passes without notice here. Chairs remain side by side. Moonlight rests on carpet. Low light stays put. No one stands to leave. We stay side by side. Table holds us here. Nothing signals closing time.
Quiet lamp circle hugs the keys. Soft ember holds steady here. Piano lid stays partly closed. Stool rests beneath the bench. Eyes meet then drift away. Fingers pause above the notes. Mugs sit near the keyboard edge. Steam lifts and settles back. Room keeps a low volume. Nothing presses the moment now. Lamplight holds the keys. Eyes meet then drift. Time moves without edges. Room stays evenly warm. Zedge guitar rests nearby. Cable coils beside the stand. Pedal light stays dim red. Floor shows faint scuff marks. Sheet pages lie half turned. Pen rests near the margin. Clock ticks behind the wall. Chairs remain pulled close. Amber light circles the hands. Notes sway without direction. Air stays even and still. Nothing asks for movement. Lamplight holds the keys. Eyes meet then drift. Time moves without edges. Sound stays low and close. Hands remain side by side. Room keeps its gentle pace.
Soft blush hovers in room. Golden light calms the surfaces. Steps slow near the table. Chairs stay angled inward slightly. Movement slows without direction here. Cups rest between our hands. Saucers line the narrow edge. Steam thins above the mugs. Room keeps a gentle pace. Nothing signals a change yet. Soft blush fills the room. Movement slows naturally here. Golden light stays steady. This moment pauses now. Moonlit guitar rests nearby stand. Piano keys reflect warm light. Cables lie along the floor. Footsteps fade near the door. Pages sit half turned open. Pen waits beside the margin. Clock ticks at a distance. Windows hold a soft glow. Golden light calms the walls. Breath adjustment now. Air remains warm and still. Soft blush fills the room. Movement slows naturally here. Golden light stays steady. This moment pauses now. Surfaces keep their calm. Time rests without signals. Late night light fills space. Evening light draws inward slowly. Tables pull a little closer. Chairs narrow the shared gap. Voices lower near the counter. Cups stay warm between hands. Space tightens comfortably here now. Footsteps soften along the floor. Room settles into still balance. Nothing shifts from this place. Late night light stays. Space feels closer now. Evening draws us inward. This day settled here. The guitar hums beside piano. Keys reflect the dim glow. Cables rest along table legs. Amp light remains low red. Windows show a quieter street. Curtains hold their folded line. Clock ticks without any hurry. Air stays warm between us. Night pulls edges softly inward. Light pools near the table. Sound stays wrapped inside space. Nothing asks to change now. Late night light stays. Space feels closer now. Evening draws us inward. This day settled here. Tables hold shared warmth. We remain side by side.
Night calm sleeps between floors. Warm glow remains gentle here. Tables hold a quiet balance. Chairs stay close without movement. Silence shared but not empty. Cups rest near our hands. Light pools across the floor. Footsteps fade along the hall. Room holds a steady stillness. Time moves without sharp edges. Night calm stays nearby. Warm glow remains gentle. Silence shared between us. We drift where it leads. Let it guitar rest beside piano. Keys reflect the low light. Cables lie along the wall. Amp light stays dim red. Windows show a sleeping street. Curtains hang without motion now. Clock ticks in even steps. Air rests between the floors. Warmth lingers near shared tables. Light remains without changing shape. Sounds stay low and even. Nothing pulls us elsewhere now. Night calm stays Tables hold quiet warmth, floors keep their calm.
Plates slide toward the center, glasses move to open space. Napkins fold beside the edge, table shows a wider surface. Amber light spreads across wood, chairs shift back a little. Cutlery rests in quiet lines, hands pause above the table. Voices lower after the movement, room looks less crowded now. Night electricity fades slowly. Tables clear between us, light stays amber here. Space opens without rush. Plates stack near the sink, water runs then turns off. Cloth wipes remaining marks away, counter stays clear and dry. Window shows the darker street, signs flicker then settle down. Power hums behind the walls, footsteps pass outside briefly once. Chairs return under the table, floor shows lines from legs. Air cools after the motion, room holds steady, quiet now. Night electricity fades slowly. Tables clear between us, light stays amber here. Space opens without rush. Weight stays behind us. Night settles into haze.
Coats rest laid on chairs, scarf fold without clear order. Fabric overlaps at the edges, sleeves touch across the backs. Dim light brushes soft textures, wool shows uneven patterns. Buttons catch a little shine, zippers lie partly undone. Cold air lingers near doors, heat stays close to tables. Nothing pulls us forward, hands stay where placed. Layers rest together, light stays low here. Shows faint in air, cups release quiet steam. Fingers wrap around warm, knuckles rest against mugs. Window glass feels slightly cool, street lights blur beyond view. Footsteps pass outside slowly, curtains hang without movement. Chairs remain pulled in close, coats stay stacked without order. Floor holds soft shadows beneath, room keeps a steady calm. Nothing pulls us forward, nothing shifts the pace. Layers stay where dropped, cups remain between hands. Light stays low here, time holds this space.
Beside the plate, steam thins above dark surface. Mug handle faces toward light. Table edge shows faint wear. Saucer rests under rounded base. Spoon lies quiet near him. Napkin folds along one line. Chair stays pulled halfway back. Holds a settled stillness. Nothing reaches for the cup. Coffee left sitting untouched. Mug waits near plate. Light stays gentle here. Time passes without notice. Cools inside the mug, ring marks dry along ceramic. Notebook lies close beside it. Pages rest without turning now. Window sound drifts in softly. Light stays gentle on floor. Clock face keeps even spacing. Air moves once then stops. Coffee remains untouched beside plate and stay away from heat. Spoon and cup keep distance. Nothing changes before leaving here. Coffee left sitting untouched. Mug waits near plate. Light stays gentle here. Hands leave it still. Follows after we end.
Book lies open on table, pages stay on same line. Spine rests without bending now. Dim light settles nearby softly. Hands pause above the page. Margin notes remain untouched, their cup warmth reaches the palms. Chair stays pulled close in. Words wait without turning forward. Time holds mid-motion here. Pages staying on same line. Book open without turning. Dim brightness settling nearby. We stay mid-motion. Sun fades along the paper, shadow rests near the spine. Table grain runs left to right, air stays level around pages. Clock ticks once beyond the shelf, window hum stays outside today. Bookmark remains tucked inside, their light does not change place. Page edges lift and settle, no finger moves to turn, book holds its open shape. Sound thins across the room. Pages staying on same line. Book open without turning. Dim brightness settling nearby. We stay mid-motion. Lines remain exactly aligned. Reading waits without progress.
Chairs align without much thought. Legs rest square to tables. Even light spreads across seats. Gaps remain between chair backs. Floor marks guide their placement. Hands move chairs then stop. Table edges stay clearly spaced. Nothing touches unless really needed. Distance holds steady without notice. Arrangement stays as it was. Chairs align without thought. Space stays open here. Even light keeps balance. Tables keep their gaps. Afternoon settles across the floor. Shadows fall between each seat. Cups sit centered on tables. Feet rest flat under chairs. Movement pauses after small adjustments. Cloth slides back onto counter. Hair stays even around edges. Light does not shift position. Chairs remain where they were. Angles match along the road. Distance keeps a clear line. Room holds this arrangement still. Chairs align without thought. Space stays open here. Even light keeps balance. Tables keep their gaps. Seats remain set apart. Layout stays unchanged now. Saucer sits aligned with cup. Edges meet without any shift. Table surface stays even here. Light spreads across the glaze. Even glow holds steady now. Spoon rests parallel beside cup. Handle points toward the chair. Napkin lies folded near edge. Nothing breaks the simple order. Placement stays as it is. Saucer left aligned here. Dish matches the cup. Light stays calm here. This stays in motion. Afternoon sound stays low inside. Window shows a muted street. Footsteps pass without any pause. Door remains closed after entry. Clock face holds the minute. Hands rest near warm porcelain. Chair legs keep their position. Floor reflects a soft line. Piano moves at gentle volume. Bass supports the low notes. Guitar leaves space between sound. Silence fits inside the room. Saucer left aligned here, dish matches the cup. Light stays calm here. Nothing shifts from place. Time moves without hurry. This stays in motion.
Spoon rests beside the cup. Handle points toward the edge. Cup stays where it was. Ring mark dries on wood. Soft reflections gather nearby. Light stays close to surface. Saucer sits under the rim. Table grain runs quietly on. Hand moves away from cup. Nothing follows the motion. A spoon resting again. Cup left where it was. Light stays close here. Sound remains low now. Clock ticks once, then waits. Steam thins above the drink. Chair legs press the floor. Window holds muted shapes. Napkin folds remain unchanged. Tray stays pushed aside. Shadow leans toward the cup. Room keeps even spacing. Spoon does not roll away. Cup does not get lifted. Light settles near the mark. Air stays inside place. A spoon resting again. Cup left where it was. Light stays close here. Afternoon holds steady. Nothing moves from position. The day sits down.
Coffee scent stays near table. Warm air fills the small space. Cup sits cooling without touch. Steam drifts then thins slowly. Light spreads softly across walls. Counter hum fades into quiet. Chair backs line the window. Door remains closed between chimes. Aroma lingers near the cups. Minutes settle into afternoon light. Coffee scent staying close. Warmth fills the open room. The pace feels right. Air holds steady now. Saucer rests beneath the cup. Spoon reflects a soft glow. Window shows a muted street. Footsteps pass without stopping outside. Light warms a table edge. Pages lie flat beside bed. Clock ticks once, then waits. Music stays slow in background. seizes the moment. Hair holds steady now. Afternoon remains unhurried here. A notebook left where it opened, pages held at mid-thought. Soft glow across the paper. Table edge frames the notebook. Pen rests near the margin. Cup cools beside the pages. Chair stays pulled under table. Clock ticks slow behind counter. Hands pause above the paper. Nothing moves the page edges. A notebook left open. Pages held mid-thought. Soft glow stays across. Time remains without rush. Windows show shapes moving beyond. Bass notes sit under footsteps. Paper fibers catch the light. Napkin lies folded near cup. Outside traffic blurs then clears. Light holds steady on pages. Notebook stays open unchanged still. Table keeps familiar marks visible. Lines wait without being written. Margin space remains unused here. Paper lifts slightly at corner. Room keeps the same quiet. A notebook left open. Pages held mid-thought. Soft glow stays across. Shapes move beyond glass. We sit in ease. Nothing asks for change.
Coffee sits half warm still. Mug rests near the notebook. Light stays even on wood. Handle points toward the chair. Surface ring marks earlier heat. Spoon lies beside the saucer. Clock hand moves without notice. Room sound stays low level. Moments pass without any marking. Nothing signals a change here. Coffee left half warm. Light remains even here. Time carries the rest. Cup stays on table. Steam no longer rises upward. Ceramic holds fading warmth inside. Eyes follow the cup rim. Chair legs rest on floor. Window shows an empty street. Footsteps pass beyond the glass. Afternoon light stays unchanged still. Breath moves slow and steady. Coffee cools another small degree. Ring fades along the surface. Light keeps the same balance. Time continues without comment here. Coffee left half warm. Light remains even here. Time carries the rest. Cup stays on table. Moments move without marking. Nothing interrupts the flow.
Window holds a quiet one. Glass appears faintly clouded now. Filtered daylight passes through slowly. Table edge catches soft reflection. Cup sits close to window pane. Steam fades along the glass. Street motion blurs beyond view. chair stays facing outward still. Light rests without sharp change. Room sound lowers another level. We let it be. Window holds the warmth. Outside stays softly distant. Nothing enters this space. Hands rest near the warm cup. Spoon lies beside saucer edge. Napkin folds once, then remains. Light keeps moving very slowly. Curtain hangs without sudden motion. Clock marks time without emphasis. Glass holds a faint haze. Hair stays warm near window. Outside continues at gentle distance. Light does not shift quickly. Objects remain place where set. Afternoon holds its current pace. We let it be. Window holds the warmth. Outside stays softly distant. Nothing enters this space. Glass remains lightly clouded. Light passes through slowly. Steam no longer rises now. Cup sits near window edge. Low light rests calm here. Saucer stays beneath the cup. Handle points toward empty space. Table shows faint ring marks. Air feels cooler nearby now. No hands return to drink. Steam has fully disappeared now. Surface holds quiet reflection still. A cup cooling gradually. Steam no longer rising. Light stays low and calm. We let the day close. Coffee surface turns completely still. Spoon rests beside the saucer. Window sound fades into distance. Chair remains where it was. Light shifts without drawing notice. Time passes in small changes. Cup warmth leaves the porcelain. Room keeps the same shape. No steam appears above rim. Liquid rests at lower temperature. Table stays ready without clearing. Light holds near closing hour. A cup cooling gradually. Steam no longer rising. Light stays low and calm. Table holds the cup. Shadows stretch, then stop. We let the day close.
Clock hands move without sound. Shadows shift along the wall. Cup cools near table edge. Hands stay resting side by side. Light lowers across the floor. Window frames soften their lines. Street motion slows in view. Chair remains pulled in close. Seconds pass between small movements. Room keeps the same arrangement. This light keeps moving on. Minutes slip quiet. Sounds fade into distance. Steam thins above dark coffee. Spoon rests against the saucer. Napkin stays folded near plate. Table grain shows shallow marks. Outside voices blur together. Glass reflects fading daylight. Door stays closed at entry. Bell hangs still overhead. Moments stack without clear order. Nothing signals change inside. Light continues its slow shift. Hair stays evenly spread here. This light keeps moving on. Minutes slip quietly. Tables stay in place. Sounds fade into distance. Cups remain where set. Room holds steady shade.
Nothing more gets added here. Table surface stays unchanged still. Cups remain where placed before. Hands rest away from table. Quiet daylight remains inside a room. Window shows no new movement. Door stays closed without sound. Air holds steady room temperature. Minutes pass without addition now. Nothing new enters the frame. Afternoon settling in place. Nothing needs to rush. Room stays as it is. Light remains quietly hid. Plates sit stacked nearby now. Napkins lie folded evenly here. Counter edge stays clear today. Floor shows no fresh marks. Clock hands move along slowly. Outside sound fades further away. Shadows hold their position still. Chairs remain set back neatly. Nothing waits to be added. Table keeps its spacing now. Light stays level across surfaces. Time continues without comment here. Afternoon settling in place. Nothing more being added. Room remains open and still. Light stays where it is. Hair moves at steady pace. Nothing needs to rush now. Mug rests beside the notebook. Steam thins above dark liquid. Pages stay open at center. Pen lies parallel to spine. Light rests evenly on table. Shadow softens under the cup. Chair remains pulled slightly back. Floor lines meet without pattern. objects, nothing shifts from its place. A mug near notebook, cup stays within reach, light rests evenly here. Time moves without signal. Margin notes pause mid-sentence, paper edges curl a little, handle points toward empty space. Warmth fades through thick ceramic. Window sound drifts from outside, clock marks time without emphasis. Curtain edge hangs still again. Table holds its quiet order. Hands move then stop midway. Muck touches down without sound. Notebook remains open flat. Light keeps its gentle spread. Stays within reach, hands set it down. Light rests evenly, nothing follows the motion. We set it down softly. Bookmark thread peeks from pages. Book rests closed on table. Filtered daylight softens paper color. Spine faces the window edge. Chair stays angled toward the light. Dust drips slowly near the cover. Cup cools beside the book. Saucer shows a thin ring. Page waits at a marked place. Reading stops without closing it. A bookmark barely showing. Thread peeks from pages. Light rests on paper. Book stays partly open. Afternoon settles around the table. Shadows gather along the spine. Hands rest away from pages. Air stays still between turns. Curtain filters the outside brightness. Street sound fades behind glass. Table grain shows faint lines. Light keeps a muted tone. Thread rests along the margin. Corners curl slightly inward now. Under filtered light, room holds a quiet balance. A bookmark barely showing. Thread peeks from pages. Light rests on paper. Book stays partly open. Reading pauses at this point. Afternoon remains unturned. Eyes rest on the table. Graying lines run straight below. Hands stay close to the edge. Cup sits within easy reach. Little light holds its place. Shadows soften near fingers. Spoon reflects a dull shine. Surface shows familiar marks. Nothing lifts the line of sight. Stillness stays at table level. downward, light stays muted here. Time moves without lift, this moment flows on. Afternoon sound stays distant, street noise fades behind glass. Chair legs rest without shift, floor keeps a steady tone. Clock face sits out of view, breath moves slow and even. Sleeves touch the table edge, posture stays unchanged here. Piano plays at low level, bass moves beneath the notes. Guitar leaves space between, sound rests inside the room. A look held downward, light stays muted here. Time moves without lift, hands remain on table. Nothing asks for change. This moment flows on.
Thumb rests along the margin, pages stay fixed in place. Book lies open on table, paper edges catch soft light. Light runs along the edges, print lines stay evenly spaced. Cover bends slightly downward, table holds steady beneath. Hand pauses without turning, nothing shifts between lines. Pages held without turning, thumb marks the place, light stays on edges. Words wait on paper. Cup cools beside the book, steam fades above the rim. Chair legs remain aligned, floor reflects muted light. Window shows passing afternoon, glass softens the outside view. Clock hand moves one mark, room stays evenly arranged. Thumb presses once then rests, paper does not respond. Page corners stay flat, sound remains inside room. Pages held without turning, thumb marks the place. Light stays on edges, time remains unmarked here. Hands stay on the book. We leave the rest behind.
Cup rests near table center, porcelain holds even light. Shadow forms beneath the rim, surface grain stays clearly visible. Handle points toward empty chairs, steam thins above dark liquid. Saucer edge meets quiet space, table remains free of motion. Light shifts slightly across porcelain, shadows stay mostly in place. A shadow under the cup, light rests on porcelain. Shape stays barely moving, light slips across table. Spoon lies still beside saucer, napkin folded near the edge. Coffee ring marks familiar spot, chair legs touch floor evenly. Window glow softens nearby, curtain holds a steady line. Footsteps pass beyond the glass, room sound remains unchanged. Shadow shortens then extends slightly, cup stays centered through movement. Light travels without clear pattern, surface keeps its quiet tone. The shadow under the cup, light rests on porcelain. Shape stays barely moving, nothing interrupts the scene. Light slips across table, afternoon remains settled. A spoon resting nearby here, silver kept within easy reach. Low light holding still above, table edge stays in frame. Mug sits without any steam, saucer waits beside the cup. Chair faces the table square, clock ticks softly in back. Hands rest close to silver, nothing moves across the surface. A spoon resting nearby, silver kept within reach. Low light stays still, afternoon holds its position. Window shows passing afternoon shapes, bass notes sit under footsteps. Spoon handle points toward cup, napkin lies folded near edge. Low light traces the rim, silver reflects the muted glow. Table keeps familiar surface marks, air stays even between items. Spoon remains within easy reach, silver rests beside the cup. Nothing shifts from earlier placement here, light stays low along edge. A spoon resting nearby, silver kept within reach. Low light stays still, shapes move beyond glass. This room feels shared, nothing calls for change.
Steam lifts from the cup, warm air thins above rim. Handle stays facing the chair, table surfers flex off light. Neutral glow fills the room, shadows hold their current shape. Spoon rests beside the saucer, nothing moves between these objects. Steam fades without clear direction, air turns cooler near hands. Steam fades gradually now, light stays neutral here. Time moves in lines, cup remains on table. Surface ring dries along the edge, steam thins into the room. Ceramic warmth stays contained inside, eyes follow the empty air. Window shows a muted street, footsteps pass beyond the glass. Clock hand moves one step, glow remains without any change. Steam becomes barely visible now, clears above the cup. Light keeps its neutral tone. Afternoon holds steady here still. Steam fades gradually now. Light stays neutral here. Time moves in lines. Cup remains on table. Air clears above it. Nothing interrupts the moment.
Window holds a calm frame. Filtered light rests on wood. Table edge stays softly lit. Chair faces outward slightly. Outside motion feels far away. Cars pass without sharp sound. Glass keeps movement at distance. Room tone stays evenly low. Light pauses along the sill. Street noise fades behind glass. Let it be quiet. Window holds the calm. Outside stays distant. Room remains still here. Cup sits near window edge. Steam lifts then disappears slowly. Hands stay resting on table. Grain lines show beneath light. Curtain hangs without movement. Shadow rests along the wall. Clock marks time without sound. Air stays clear and cool. Outside continues without detail. Glass softens every motion. Light does not shift quickly. Room keeps a steady shape. Let it be quiet. Window holds the calm. Outside stays distant. Room remains still. Yeah. Let it be quiet. Window holds the calm. Outside stays distant. Room remains still here. Light stays filtered now. Nothing enters this space. Table sits near the window. Surface catches mute reflections today. Daylight stays low and calm. Chair rests without being moved. Glass shows passing street shapes. Frame holds light along edges. Cup sits untouched on wood. Table legs meet quiet floor. Nothing shifts around this table. Afternoon sound stays outside nearby. A table near window. Light stays low here. Reflections move softly inside. We don't need finish. Shadow lines stretch then settle. Outside traffic blurs past slowly. Curtain edge stays near glass. Hair moves without touching objects. Light keeps a steady tone. Surface holds faint window shapes. Cup ring darkens slightly now. Nothing waits to be cleared. Time passes without clear signal. Table remains ready for nothing. Window keeps the same view. Light rests where it is. A table near window. finish.
Fingers lower toward the table. Saucer meets wood without sound. Cup settles at center point. Hand releases grip slowly. Light touches skin evenly. Table edge aligns with wrist. Spoon rests near cup handle. Napkin stays folded beside plate. Movement pauses after placement. Room returns to steady pace. We let the calm unfold. Hands rest near the cup. Light stays even here. Time holds gentle shape. Steam rises then fades upward. Eyes follow briefly then stop. Chair supports leaning posture. Feet remain flat on floor. Window shows passing outlines. Glass reflects quiet interior. Bell stays still above entrance. Counter holds line receipts. Small motions finish their course. Nothing waits to be adjusted. Air stays clear between tables. Moments stack without notice. We let the calm unfold. Hands rest near the cup. Light stays even here. Time holds gentle shape. Saucer remains centered. Room stays unchanged.
Handle turns toward the table. Cup rests near folded napkin. Steam thins above the rim. Saucer stays centered beneath cup. Daylight moves across the counter. Window shows slow passing shapes. Door remains closed without sound. Floor holds quiet footmarks. Minutes settle without notice here. Room keeps an even tone. Cup angled inward slightly. Table space stays clear. Nothing shifts right now. Morning pace remains gentle. Handle shadow curves leftward slowly. Napkin edge lifts a corner. Light pools near the base. Porcelain shows thin glaze lines. Clock hands move one step outside. Noise stays distant today. Air drifts across the room. Chair legs rest unmoved here. Coffee surface darkens slightly now. Handle remains easy to reach. Table grain runs lengthwise along. Light stays steady nearby still. Cup angled inward now. Hands pause beside it. Room keeps simple balance. Time moves without push. Nothing has attention here. Daylight remains soft inside. Page lifts from the book. Paper bends one set corner. Thumb pauses along the edge. Ink lines wait without change. Daylight moves across the table, shadow slides under the cup. Chair stays pulled halfway in, floor tiles keep steady lines. Air shifts as paper settles, room remains quietly unchanged here. A page turns slowly, hands rest on margins. Light moves across text, time stays even here. Paragraph ends near the fold, sentence breaks at quiet space. Mugworm fades by degrees, steam thins above the rim. Pen lies parallel to spine, notebook rests open and still. Window air drifts gently inward, curtain edge lifts then drops. Pages align with even weight, sound stays low around the room. Light holds without direction change, reading continues at same pace. A page turns slowly, paper rest after movement. Hands remain near edges, light stays on the page. Lines wait for next glance, nothing more is needed.
Back slips beneath the table, chair legs align on floor. Wood surface holds light softly, cup sits near table edge. Window frames the quiet street, footsteps fade past the glass. Napkin lies folded beside plate, menu rests flat on wood. Hair moves slowly between tables. Time keeps a small distance. A table chosen quietly, back placed under the table. Light traces the chair legs, nothing pulls us forward. Sunlight reaches across the floor, chair back stays gently warm. Spoon rests beside empty saucer, steam lifts then disappear slowly. Clock hand moves one clear step, ceiling fan turns without sound. Paper receipt stays folded once, bag strap rests near shoes. Door opens and closes softly, bell rings once above the door. Light shifts along chair legs, air settles back into place. A table chosen quietly, bag placed under the table. Light traces the chair legs, nothing pulls us forward. Seat waits beside the wall. Room stays open and still.
Reflections pass across the window, light rests along counter edge. Cups stand line behind the bar, hands move without any rush. Glass shows shapes from passing cars, machine light blinks once then rest. Apron hangs from metal hook. Floor stays clear near the sink. Orders wait beside the register. Minutes rest without pressure. Window reflections pass in light rest behind the bar. Movements stay unhurried. Time holds a soft pace. Steam lifts slowly from mugs. Water fills the kettle halfway. Spoons rest inside ceramic cups. Cloth wipes one small spill. Afternoon settles near shelves. Labels face the same direction. Doorbell stays completely silent. Air cools along tiled walls. Reflections fade then return. Shadows cross the lower glass. Counter edges catch the light. Room keeps its gentle order. Window reflections pass in light rest behind the bar. Hands move in small motions. Sounds remain evenly spaced. Nothing has to hurry. We wait gently here. Menu rest closed on table. Pages meet without any sound. Hands return to resting place. Chair stays still beside a window. Daylight spreads across pale wood. Cup waits near the edge. Spoon lies flat on saucer. Counter holds a quiet line. Nothing shifts within this moment. Time keeps steady order. Menu set aside now. Pace stays kind here. Minutes move without push. We stay inside flow. Street light shifts behind the glass. Footsteps pass and fade outside. Door remains closed after entry. Bell stays silent overhead. Still table shows a faint ring. Napkin folds remain untouched here. Receipt rests beneath the cup. Clock face holds the minute. Music plays low near counter. Bass moves soft under piano. Strings keep a simple pattern. Notes leave space between sounds. Menu set aside now. Pace stays kind here. Minutes move without push. Daylight spreads softly still. Room keeps its calm order. We stay inside flow.
Pen hovers above the page. Ink waits near the tip. Fingers rest along the edge. Notebook stays open and blank. Light spreads across the table. Paper holds a steady white. Chair legs touch the floor. Breath moves once then stops. Hand pauses just before writing. Time stays unmarked for now. A moment before writing. Pen waits without movement. Page holds an empty space. We don't extend it. We don't extend it. slow passing light. Cup cools near the notebook. Table grain runs straight ahead. Clock marks a quiet second. Pen shadow rests on paper. Margin stays clean and clear. Sleep brushes the tabletop lightly. Room holds its open shape. Ink does not touch yet. Lines wait without direction here. Thought stays outside the page. Hand remains above the line. A moment before writing. Pen waits without movement. Page holds an empty space. Daylight and open. Hand stays above the page. We don't extend it.
Eyes lift from the table. Window glare softens on glass. Street motion pauses at crosswalk. Hands remain folded near cup. Blink closes, then opens again. Shoulders stay level with breath. Saucer edge meets the table. Light stays even on wood. Gaze returns to quiet details. Seconds pass without drawing notice. A glance held briefly. Eyes lift then return. Daylight stays calm here. The moment walks softly. Cup rim warms, waiting fingers. Steam thins above dark surface. Register light blinks then fades. Chair legs rest without movement. Curtain edge shifts with air. Footsteps pass outside the door. Table grain shows faint lines. Music level stays turned down. Look settles back in a stillness. Neck lowers to neutral angle. Page corners wait without turning. Light continue across the room. A glance held briefly. Eyes lift and return. Nothing follows after that. Daylight remains calm here. The moment walks softly. Focus rests back down. Notebook lies beside the mug. Pages stay open without marks. Steam curls above untouched cup. Table holds space for writing. Pen rests near folded receipt. Window light stays soft today. Chair faces the table quietly. Clock ticks behind the counter. Hands pause above the notebook. Nothing moves across the page. The notebook kept nearby. Mug waits without touch. Light stays on pages. Time holds steady here. Bass notes sit under footsteps. Door stays closed but present. Napkin edges a line near cup. Table grain shows faint lines. Outside traffic passes in layers. Sunlight reaches half the table. Pen shadow falls to left. Notebook stays open and still. Words wait without being written. Pages breathe with small air. Mug cools beside the hem. Room keeps quiet for notes. The notebook kept nearby. We remain nearby still. Mug waits without touch. Light stays on pages. Time holds steady here. Nothing has to change.
Door opens without any rush. Footsteps pause near familiar tiles. Counter light turns on softly. Chair waits beside the window. Morning air settles in place. Menu board hangs slightly angled. Cups align along the counter. Silence fills the empty space. Clock marks another quiet minute. No signals ask for speed. Morning starts again here. Nothing presses the moment. Time moves without edges. Room stays open still. Hands rest flat on table. Warm cup touches the palm. Steam rises then fades back. Breath stays slow and even. Outside traffic passes by unseen. Glass reflects the pale street. Door closes without a sound. Light settles back on wood. Routine returns without any announcement. Calendar page remains still unchanged. Register hums, then falls quiet. Man arrives already fully present. Morning starts again here. Nothing presses the moment. Time moves without edges. Room stays open still. Air holds its position. Sound keeps a low level.
Table sits near window side. Chair pulls back without sound. Bag rests under wooden edge. Floor stays clean and pale. Cup placed slightly to right. Napkin folded once beside. Light moves across tabletop. Outside steps pass then fade. Hand rests near cup handle. Breeze slows without notice. We remain here. Table stays chosen. Light stays gentle. Time moves lightly. Clock ticks once above counter, steam lifts then disappears. Window glass feels cool nearby, curtain edge stays still now. Street lines blur beyond view, room holds quiet at spacing. Nothing shifts around this sea, cup warmth spreads to palm. Daylight stays where it lands, sounds soft in near walls. We remain here, table stays chosen, light stays gentle, time moves lightly, morning holds this place. Nothing asks for change. Curtain barely moves at edge, air passes through thin fabric. Light rests across the floor, window frame stays slightly open. Table corner meets soft shadow, cup sits near folded napkin. Chair back faces the window, curtain returns to still position. Nothing changes beyond this movement. Room keeps a quiet shade. Curtain barely move in here, light stays clear inside. Air shifts then settles, the day loosens here. Fabric lifts then falls back, sunlight holds along the wall. Dust drifts near the glass, curtain edge brushes the frame. Clock sound stays far away, footsteps pass outside briefly once. Light remains even and clear, fabric slows its movement again. Curtain pauses between small shifts, air rests without clear direction. Light holds steady near glass, room keeps this simple motion. Curtain barely moving here, light stays clear inside. Air shifts then settles, the day loosens here. Nothing pulls the fabric, window stays open slightly.
Door closes behind the visit, chair pulls closer to table. Bag rests beside chair legs, hands pause above jacket zipper. Light spreads across empty surface, menu lies open without movement. Cup settles near table edge, spoon stays aligned with saucer. Footsteps pass along entry floor. Register hum stays behind counter. We drift where it's chairs stay gently pulled in. Light keeps a soft balance, time moves without clear edges. Window shows passing street shapes, glass reflects coats near doorway. Bell rests still above entrance, floor holds faint shoe marks. Steam lifts briefly from cup, table grain runs side to side. Sleeves brush wood edge lightly, chair legs meet floor evenly. Outside traffic softens through glass. it pays. We drift where it leads, chairs stay gently pulled in. Light keeps us off balance, time moves without clear edges. Cups rest near center marks. Room holds steady order.
Spoon race near saucer rim. Silver catches soft under light. Cup sits centered on plate. Table grain shows thin scratches. Paper lies open beside cup. Corners curl without full lift. Chair remains cold halfway in. Floor tiles keep quiet lines. Light lingers on written lines. Air moves once, then settles. A spoon on saucer. Silver rests near rim. Light stays on paper. Afternoon holds its pace. Handle points toward table edge. Liquid cools inside the cup. Napkin folds along one crease. Window sound drifts from street. Clock face marks even spacing. Second hand moves without pause. Curtain edge lifts and falls. Light remains soft on paper. Spoon stays placed without sound. Cup and saucer keep alignment. Reading waits between small movements. Wrong continues at same level. A spoon on saucer. Silver rests near end. Hands leave it untouched. Light lingers on paper. Afternoons, days evenly paced. We fog a day away.
Coaster slides beneath the cup. Circle centers under ceramic. Table surface stays unmarked. Hand moves back to rest. Cup rim catches soft daylight. Steam rises then thins away. Wood grain lines stay visible. Spoon rests beside the saucer. Light holds steady on table. Sound stays low in room. A coaster lined again. Circle under the cup. Light lingers by rim. Table stays quietly set. Chair legs cast short shadows. Floor shows pale afternoon tone. Window glass reflects passing shapes. Street noise remains outside. Clock hand shifts one small step. Napkin lies neatly folded. Cup warm stays in place. Air moves without change. Head returns to cup handle. Coaster stays centered below. Light keeps its soft position. Room holds the same shade. A coaster lined again. Circle under the cup. Light lingers by rim. Table stays quietly set. Nothing placed out of line. Moment continues as it.
The table sits kept at ease. Chairs placed with space between. Cups rest near table center. Elbows stay off the edge. Hidden light stays low overhead. Window glass dims outside motion. Plates remain slightly apart still. Floor shadows keep their distance. Space holds steady between seats. Nothing presses closer just now. A table kept at ease. Distance stays comfortable here. Muted light remains low. Time moves without contact. Afternoon rests across the room. Glasses catch a dull shine. Minutes lie flat on wood. Hands wait beside the cups. Air stays cool between tables. Footsteps pause beyond the door. Curtain edge barely moves. Once clock sound fades into space. Table marks show earlier use. Napkins stay folded near plates. Light pools along the surface. Room keeps a clear boundary. A table kept at ease. Distance stays comfortable here. Handed light remains low. Cups stay set apart. Chairs keep their spacing. Afternoon holds its place. Table stays open all afternoon. With nothing added or removed here. Wood grain runs straight and even. Light spreads across the surface. Cup sits near the center. Plate rests without any marks. Napkin folds remain untouched here. Chair stays pushed under table. Nothing shifts within this space. Time keeps its steady line. The table kept open. Light stays balanced here. Pace moves without pressure. Minutes pass gently on. Sunlight holds along the edge. Shadows pause beside the cup. Window glass shows quiet street. Footsteps fade beyond the door. The hour, hands rest near warm wood. Air stays still around us. Nothing added, nothing removed here. Piano rests beneath soft bass. Guitar notes leave open space. Sound stays low across room. Silence fits between the notes. The table here. Pace stays kind to us, nothing added or removed. Minutes pass gently on, the room remains open.
Menu card slips under tray, corner disappears from view. Tray rests near the table edge, wood surface stays clear now. Even light fills the space, no shadow draws attention here. Cup sits centered on saucer, napkin folds remain untouched. Hands leave the table briefly, nothing waits to be chosen. A menu tucked away, tray holds steady weight. Table stays uncluttered now, we rest the weight here. Chair legs stay aligned below, floor marks show faint lines. Window glass reflects the room, street noise passes without pause. Spoon lies parallel to tray, cup handle faces inward slightly. Light stays even across grain, clock face shows a late hour. Menu stays hidden from sight, order no longer considered. Tray keeps its quiet load, paper edges do not move. A menu tucked away, tray holds steady weight. Table stays uncluttered now, light remains intrinsic. Nothing asks for decision. We rest the weight here.
Table surface stays open, calm. Plates rest spaced along wood. Glass catches muted window light. Chair remains pushed slightly back. Napkin folded near empty cup. Spoon lies parallel to edge, no hands reach across table. Air moves slowly without contact. Nothing shifts between these items. Seconds pass with even spacing. A table left undisturbed, surface stays open, calm. Held it glow stays even, the pace feels kind today. Coffee ring marks familiar place, menu card rests beside sugar. Table legs cast short shadows, floor reflects afternoon light softly. Window shows people passing by, door remains closed between chimes. Receipt printer stays silent now, music level remains set low. Nothing placed as to move, items keep their given distance. Light holds steady across grain, time continued without direction. Markers, the table left undisturbed, surface stays open, calm. It glow stays even, nothing moves it forward. The pace feels kind today. Afternoon coaster shifted aside slowly. Circle visible on the table. Let it glow along the edge. Wood grain runs toward window. Mug rests just off the mark. Saucer stays beneath the cup. Chair legs stay still nearby. Afternoon light holds position here. Hands move away from center. Nothing returns to place yet. A coaster shifted aside. Circle stays on table. Light rests along edge. Time moves without notice. Window shows shapes moving past. Bass note settle under steps. Receipt corner lifts then falls. Spoon turns slightly on saucer. Tinted glow reaches the rim. Cup warm fades very slowly. Table keeps the circle mark. Air stays even around objects. Coaster remains near the mug. Ring stays clear on wood. Nothing covers the small mark. Light keeps its quiet path. The coaster shifted aside. Circle stays on table. Light rests along edge. Shapes move beyond glass. Afternoon stays unbroken here. Returns to center.
Chest rises, then eases down. Shoulders stay level and loose. Breath fills the quiet space. Light holds its steady tone. Chair supports a resting back. Table edge meets folded hands. Room sounds settle into place. Clock face stays clearly seen. Breath pauses between the counts. Nothing asks for any speed. Breath moves in and out. Light keeps the same tone. Time stays without edges. Body remains right here. Chest settles after the rise. Sleeves brush against the sides. Floor stays cool under shoes. Window glass reflects the room. Outside motion passes unseen now. Indoor light remains unchanged here. Breath continues at even pace. Minute lands without emphasis here. Chest lifts once then settles back. Air moves steadily through lungs. Posture holds without adjustment now. Light keeps the same position. Breath moves in and out. Light keeps the same tone. Time stays without edges, body remains right here. Nothing needs to hurry now, moment continues quietly on.
Spoon rests beside the cup, table surface holds faint marks. Light stays low across wood, chair remains pulled slightly in. Cup steam thins near the rim, napkin lies folded on side. Window glass keeps outside quiet, floor reflects a muted glow. Spoon stays placed at an edge, nothing shifts around the cup. We stay unmoving here, spoon rests at an edge. Light remains low now, no sound interrupts here. Hand rests near the saucer, clock ticks once then pauses. Menu stays closed on table, air moves slow without notice. Curtain edge barely moves now, street lines blur beyond glass. Cup warm stays inside ceramic, light holds steady on surface. Spoon remains untouched beside cup, chair legs stay fixed in place. Room tone drops another level, time passes without visible mark. We stay unmoving here, spoon rests at an edge. Light remains low now, no sound interrupts here. Cup and table align, this pause stays held. Low sound drifts from far tables, chairs shift without drawing attention. Light softens edges near walls, voices blend beyond this space. Counter holds quiet, cups aligned, steps pass outside the door. Ceiling fan turns very slowly, tables keep their measured distance. Sound stays low and distant, nothing pulls it closer here. A low sound remains, voices stay far away. Light softens every edge, this closes gently now. Glasses clink once then stop, order slips through open air. Floor absorbs passing steps quietly, window frames the street noise. Sound thins as minutes move, light keeps a steady tone. Conversation stays behind glass panes, room returns to simple hush. Low sound settles into distance, tables hold without reaction. Nearby, light remains across the room, edges soften as time passes. A low sound remains, voices stay far away. Light softens every edge, this closes gently now. Tables keep their distance, settles without focus.
Eyes rest beyond the window. Focus loosens on passing shapes. Head leans slightly toward glass. Hands stay folded on table. Light stays calm across surfaces. Street lines blur into motion. Cup remains untouched beside hand. Breath stays even and slow. Seconds pass without clear markers. Room tone holds steady inside. Time bends without asking. Eyes stay softly open. Light remains calm here. Chairs keep their place. Cars move past without pattern. Reflections slide across glass. Door frame holds familiar marks. Bell stays quiet above entry. Table grain runs toward window. Sleeves rest near wooden edge. Spoon remains beside saucer. Steam thins above the cup. Attention drifts without direction. Stillness fills the open moment. Nothing pulls the gaze inward. View remains gently unfocused. Time bends without asking. Eyes stay softly open. Light remains calm here. Time bends without asking. Eyes stay softly open. Light remains calm here. Chairs keep their place. Cups rest where placed. Room stays unchanged.
Legs shift quietly near feet. Light pools along the floor. Cups stay warm without movement. Coats rest against chair backs. Plates remain centered on wood. Voices lower but continue talking. Nothing changes its position now. Someone adjusts the chair again. Others follow without looking down. Chairs pull closer once more. Light stays low around us. Voices keep a steady pace. Nothing need to rush. Feet slide inward under table. A cup moves slightly closer. Fabric brushes softly near legs. Breath sounds blend with room. Evening glow deepens near floor. Shadows gather beneath the table. Chairs hold their closer distance. Time passes without notice here. between movements. Someone shifts weight then stops. Light remains soft near feet. Floors stay warm under shoes. Chairs pull closer once more. Nothing needs to rush now. Light stays low nearby. Voices move slowly together. Feet remain under table. The room keeps still. Names spoken softly just once. Chairs pull closer to table. Hands pause before moving cups. Smiles appear then settle back. Amber light touches quiet faces. Coats rest along nearby backs. Plates is centered on wood. Room holds a steady hush. Voices lower after greetings pass. Nothing follows the first words. A quiet greeting repeated. Names rest between smiles. Light stays warm around us. Moments end without hurry. Someone nods across the table. A cup shifts slightly inward. Fingers release their gentle grip. Sound fades into soft background. Evening deepens beyond the glass. Streetlight flickers once outside. Inside faces remain familiar now. No one rushes the ending here. A final name said quietly. Chairs slide back without sound. Hands reach for waiting coats. Doors stand open for a moment. A quiet greeting repeated. Name spoken once again. Light holds the same warm. Smiles fade into stillness. Chairs move back slowly. Sounds end without notice.
Clock hands move without notice. Cups sit warm on table. Voices overlap then separate again. Chairs stay angled slightly inward. Evening light deepens near walls. Windows dim behind steady glass. Plates remain centered between hands. Nothing shifts from earlier placement. Minutes pass without any signal. Conversation lowers but continues softly. Time stretching without notice. Light deepens inside room. Voices stay low nearby. The room stays quiet. Someone checks phone, then stops. A spoon rests beside saucer. Steam rises, then fades again. Tables keep their measured spacing. Outside dark gathers along street. Footsteps pass and disappear quickly. Inside sound remains evenly spread. Cups cool slowly between sips. A pause forms between replies. Eyes move across familiar faces. Hair moves slow above table. No signal marks the moment. Time stretching without notice. Evening light deepens slowly. Voices rest between sentences. Hands remain near warm cups. Nothing asks for movement. The room stays quiet.
Verses overlap near that table. Cups sit between passing words. Hands pause above warm mugs. Chairs stay close without scraping. Evening light fills the corners. Windows reflect small moving shades. Plates remain centered on wood. Nothing interrupts the shared pace. Conversation lowers into softer layers. Sounds thin and spread evenly. Time slipping unnoticed here. Talk moves without markers. Light holds inside room. The room goes still. Someone laughs, then settles back. A spoon touches ceramic briefly. Steam rises, then thins out. No one checks the time. Outside darkens behind the glass. Street sounds soften and fade. Table remains evenly arranged now. Cups stay warm to touch. A pause stretches between sentences. Eyes drift across familiar faces. Breathing stays slow and quiet. Nothing signals a change yet. Time slipping unnoticed here. Voices rest between pauses. Light stays soft inside. Table holds the same calm. Moments pass without notice. The room goes still. Two spoons rest side by side. Handles point toward the window. Table grain looks evenly worn. Cups wait without moving much. Silver catches the evening glow, shadows fall straight along edges. Plate sits centered between hands, nothing shifts from its place. A small pause stays on surfaces, time moves quietly across table. Spoons aligned by habit, light stays soft between us. Table holds the same calm, this moment flows on. Someone straightens them without looking. Metal makes a brief sound. Hands return beside the cup. Steam rises and fades slowly. Evening settles deeper in room. Windows dim with passing light. Spoons keep their quiet line. Nothing has to be changed. A chair shifts closer to table. Fabric brushes softly against wood. Breath fogs, then clears again. Sounds stay low and brief. Spoons aligned by habit. Evening light keeps steady. Cups remain where placed. Table feels evenly shared. Nothing rushes this time. This moment flows on.
Two saucers touching at edges, edges meeting at one point. Warm glow brightens the overlap. Table surface reflects soft light. Cups sit close without movement. Handles face toward the center. Afternoon sounds lower behind glass. Chairs remain pulled slightly inward. Hands rest near the saucers. Nothing shifts the small gap. Two saucers touching lightly. Edges meet without sound. Warm glow holds between. Noise stays further away. Spoons rest across curved porcelain. Bass notes sit under footsteps. Server passes without stopping here. Light pools near the cups. Outside motion blurs past windows. Dust color deepens along glass. Saucers remain aligned and touching. Table holds the shared setting. Edges press slightly then settle. Porcelain warm spreads at contact. Room sounds dim to background. Light stays steady on white. Two saucers touching lightly. Edges meet without sound. Warm glow holds between. Noise fades into distance. Cups remain close together. Table keeps the overlap.
Two mugs turn already hot. Steam rises near, join hands. Table holds familiar space and still. Evening light thickens slowly here. Saucers placed beside each cup. Sleeves brush across the edge. Chairs remain drawn a little close. Window shows the street dimming. Warmth returns to waiting palms. Minutes settle without announcement now. Cups warmed again here. Light slips across the table. Hands rest without hurry. Evening stays with us. Spoons rest parallel on saucers. Napkins folded back into place. Steam fades, then gathers again. Low voices pause between sips. Door remains closed behind us. Counter lights stay softly dim. Plates sit cleared but nearby. Time passes without being counted. Cups stay warm against fingers. Light moves slowly along grain. No signal calls the moment forward. Room keeps holding shared space. Cups warmed again here. Light slips across the table. Hands rest without hurry. Nothing has to change. Warmth stays between us. Evening continues calmly here. Two coats touch edge sleeves. Fabric overlaps slightly in place. Amber light softens the texture. Chairs rest close without notice. Coats hang side by side. Sleeves meet near the edge. Warm air stays between fabrics. Nothing shifts their position now. Light holds steady on folds. Room keeps a quiet balance. Two coats touch and sleeves. Fabric stays gently pressed. Warm light rests between. Same hush remains here. Sleeves brush, then remain still. Coat seams line up closely. Shadows gather along the wall. Floor reflects a muted glow. Coats stay touching without sound. Fabric warmth settles slowly here. Air moves softly past backs. Time passes without marking its sleeves. Rest aligned together now. Light dims across the coast, space holds the same hush. Nothing has to separate them. Two coats touching sleeves, fabric stays gently pressed. Warm light rests between, air holds a hush. Chairs remain drawn close. We hold the same hush.
Steam rises in thin line. Warm air lifts above cups. Amber light catches the lift. Table stays quiet beneath. Cups remain steady on saucers. Hands pause near the rim. Steam drifts without direction slowly. No movement breaks the air. Lines fade as they rise. Room holds the same tone. Steam rising in thin lines. Time moves gently upward. Light follows the motion. Nothing rushes the moment. Steam returns again and again. Cups warm the space between. Air curls near the table. Chairs remain where placed before. Lines cross briefly then disappear. Amber glows stay consistent here. Steam lifts without sound now. Minutes pass inside the warm. Steam thins as cups cool. Light softens near the surface. Air settles back to still. Lines stop forming above cups. Steam rising in thin lines. Time moves in gentle lines. Light catches every lips. Warm air drifts upward. Table stays calm below. Nothing interrupts the flow. Chairs angle inlandward without words. See legs stop closer together. Table space narrows between us. Warm light settles near back. Wooden floor stays quietly marked. Coats hang touching at corners. Coffee cups rest nearer now. No one moves the distance. Breath sounds lower than before. Room keeps a held pause. Chairs drawn closer by habit. We stay facing inward. Warm space holds between us. Stillness stays at table. Chair backs lean a little more. Footsteps pass without turning heads. Light remains low and even. Time slips past unnoticed here. Hands rest folded on laps. Cups cool slowly between sips. Air stays warm around us. Nothing else for comment now. Chairs stop where they are. Silence fits the small space. Light does not
quickly we let the moment hold. Chairs drawn closer by habit, we stay facing inward. Warm space holds between us. Table listens without movement. Nothing pulls us apart. We listen to still porcelain, warm between both palms. Steam rises without moving air. Table stays quiet under light. Chairs remain still beside us. Cup edges glow a little longer. Fingers rest around ceramic heat. Saucers touch, then stop softly. Nothing else asks for attention. Bread settles near the table. Minutes pass without signal here. Hands stay around the cup. Warmth holds without asking. Light keeps a steady tone. This calm remains here. Palm shift slightly, not leaving. Ceramic weight feels unchanged now. Golden light stays slow today. Sound of room stays distant. Cup rests centered between hands. Heat moves slowly into skin. Table marks remain unnoticed here. Time pauses without comment now. Steam thins above the rim. Light fades but does not rush. Hands keep their position steady. Cup stays held through silence. Hands stay around the cup. Warmth holds without asking. Light keeps a steady tone. Table remains softly lit. Nothing moves us away. This calm is staying.
Chairs pulled near the table, hands resting on the edge, feet close against the floor, a quiet breath between us. Light spreads across the wood, it touches every corner here. The air holds still for now, our eyes meet without words. The table stays in place, nothing moves but the light. The space is warm enough, we don't ask for more. A moment shared in ease, without the need to speak. The cups are set down softly, the handles facing us both. A soft sound in the room, everything feels at rest. The shadows stretch a little, the warmth still lingers here. We stay as we are now, without a need to hurry. The space between us closes, our voices barely rise. Each second feels unshared